NFL Week 14 is upon us, the week where we have to distract ourselves from our best ball teams possibly not advancing. You have to make a count in DFS this week. So we're going to do what we always do here. We're going to look at the industry projections. We're going to look at ownership as well. Going to hop into the optimal lineup world with the solver. Going to run some sims. We're going to do an Underdog Battle Royale and a pick 'em. By the end of this video, you'll know all the must plays of NFL Week 14. Let's get into it. I've been up since 6 a.m. The kid woke up bright and early. Mommy not in town. She's in New York for a day for some work function. So, oh boy, we're going to get through this one. 2 hours of content coming up for me today. This one in the premium stream going game by game coming up right after this one. So let's strap in. Appreciate the chat. Happy Saquon week. Happy go fuck yourself week. Sup, pimp? Yes, indeed. Saquon week. He's the highest projected player in the slate right now. 26 fantasy points, 9K salary. Underdog players cannot stop looking at him. Please, Adam, never do that again. That is the dreams of my child being Adam are not alive. Saquon Barkley, look, top projected play in the week. He's $9,000. So I think the ownership we'll see on Stochastic will not be projected as high as the field will have him at. Everybody's going to jam in Saquon. The Eagles, as of this morning, are a 13-point favorite, up from 12.5 earlier in the week. So I get it. I also wrote up in my fantasy points column, which, by the way, plus 630 Christian Watson talked about here, talked about in the fantasy points column. That hit yesterday. So we're looking good. The season looking much brighter at this point. Jesus, Nolan with a very generous super chat. It's money time. You must have won another tournament, my friend. Appreciate our guy Nolan here and glad to see he's having a good season. It is a very generous super chat. Shout out Nolan for the kindness here. Saquon, though. That's a focus on it. I could suck Nolan off for the next hour with that super chat. But Saquon here. Yes. Oh, wow. The 444. My man. Shout out Nolan. Nolan is on a heater. The other day, he was like, oh, man, I fell short in some tournament after he had won the previous week. So nice to see Nolan continuing his hot run here down the home stretch. So Saquon Barkley, back to the main thing. Number one guy in Underdog Battle Royales right now. Number one guy everywhere. The field's going to go crazy for him. I wrote my fantasy points column how to try to bet around this. So you have positive lines out there. Jalen Hurts, 2+ touchdowns. That's plus 350. You have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, both like plus 125, plus 150 for an anytime touchdown. You have Kenneth Gainwell, plus 550 for an anytime touchdown. Philadelphia Eagles defense, plus 550 for an anytime touchdown. There are ways to move around Saquon Barkley this week. In DFS, though, everyone's going to go there. There's no guarantee that he is going to be this good again. He's not going to be there's no guarantee he's going to be as good as he's been this entire year at any given week. He's been getting very fortunate, great blocking, highest yards before contact of any RB in football. He's also taken advantage of that really well. That said, against Carolina, this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. You don't have to go nuts with Saquon here. Saquon does have to hit his 2,000 all-purpose yards, but he can do that without going crazy this week as well. So there's no guarantee that Saquon goes nuts. And when I see a projection that looks good, but a salary that's a little bit tough, I know the field's going to go nuts on this guy. I think you're probably going to be better off DFS-wise, not just going crazy, not just playing Saquon out the ass. I do think you're going to benefit from trying to figure out, like I try to do in the fantasy points column, just ways that Saquon doesn't get there, ways you could profit off of it. So Saquon, chalk DFS play. I think it'll be chalkier than whatever the industry has projected for him because people are just going to jam him in. Play A.J. Brown stacks, play Jalen Hurts, naked and Underdog Battle Royales, probably not in DFS, but I think that's sort of the mission of the week is how do you not play Saquon, or if you're going to play Saquon, how do you get creative with it? But that's a lot easier to do, I guess. But fading Saquon, that's tournament winning approach, I think is going to be the case for this week. Even though he's a great play, 26-point projections, probably the highest we've had, I think, for any player this entire year. So I get it. Alvin Kamara, 25.3 fantasy points. If you want to fade Saquon, go to a guy $1,000 cheaper with a projection that's only 0.7 less is one way to do it. Alvin Kamara should be getting better run out as well with no Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, sad for him. ACL tear. That's honestly probably the end of the Taysom Hill experiment, I would think at this point. We'll see, though, how he can recover from that at his age. But Alvin Kamara at the spot. Good match against the Giants. Should be some easy checkdowns for him as well. They still have no real receivers out there with him. So basically, for Alvin Kamara at the spot, I feel what's Spags? Are we doing Guardians of the Galaxy bits? Alvin Kamara, it looks like a strong play this week. At 25.3 projection, 8K salary, a lot more reasonable, a lot easier to fit in than Saquon. That's your pivot point for Saquon, but Kamara is going to be probably as chalky, if not even chalkier, based on the ownership projections. Josh Allen, I should also filter down to just the main slate here. Josh Allen at number 3, his matchup versus the Rams, 8K salary for him. You are missing so many star QBs this week. No Jaden Daniels, no Lamar, no Anthony Richardson. You're talking about 3 of the million maker winning QBs, guys who've been highly owned. Obviously, Jaden's the one who's won for 2 straight weeks. No big deal. But in general, there's going to be a lot of QBs out this week. As a result, no CJ Stroud if you want to go stack up Houston Texans. You're going to get Josh Allen being a chalk QB. Soft match against the Rams. A total for Buffalo in this spot is 26.5 implied points, not that bad. The issue, as it always is with Josh Allen, who do you stack him up with? Can you stack him up? I think he's also a better play in an Underdog Battle Royale than he actually is in DFS for that reason. We got Chase Brown. He looks pretty well projected again versus Dallas. That's on Monday Night Football. Why did that not filter out after I clicked main and then okay? Okay, there we go. Jalen Hurts at number 4. If you're not going to play Saquon, playing Jalen Hurts should be a lot more appealing. Tush-push touchdowns, passing touchdowns. If Saquon doesn't get there, he's probably going to get his 100 yards, I think, no matter what. That'd be the most likely outcome, barring injury. Besides that, I think that you probably want Jalen Hurts stacked up in general for DFS slates. Think playing him naked works on Underdog Battle Royales. I'm actually going to show you guys the Solver's new Battle Royale tool coming up in a little bit. Jalen Hurts, they love with ETR projections with that tool on Battle Royales. For DFS slates, pairing him with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, given the fact that Dallas Goedert is banged up, that can hit. Just thinking about ways that Saquon can fail, they all come down. I think they come to a head with Jalen Hurts. And again, that 2+ CDs, plus 350, good bet as well, I think. If he just pushes those in, that's one way that Saquon doesn't hit where he needs to go at a 9K salary. Justin Jefferson at number 5. A lot of sharp minds out there. I think Matt Harmon over at Reception Perception has basically sworn that Justin Jefferson is going to have a blow-up game down the home stretch. I don't know that I believe that at this point, as I've talked enough here. I don't think the usage is quite as one-to-one as it has been in the past. I don't think that Sam Darnold is quite as obsessed with feeding Justin Jefferson as they have been in the past with every QB who played, whether it be Cousins, whether it be Josh Dobbs, whether it be Nick Mullins. Like, they all came in with one mission to feed Jefferson. It's not how Darnold's been playing, and it has been how he's played at any point this year. Jefferson's still getting over like about 9 targets per game, so that's really the main thing you're looking at for Justin Jefferson. Maddox is huge on Jefferson in the Battle Royales because he's due past. Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, I think he said too in his videos that it's not really a data point. I noticed Spectre Davis, love his content. I think if you're tailing Davis for takes, I don't think that's probably not the move this season. But anyway, for Jefferson, he's playing Atlanta. I get it. Solid play overall for sure. That said, if the field's going to be there, I don't want to be there waiting for a breakout day that's not likely to come based on what I'm seeing usage-wise, where Jordan Addison, I think, is going to do okay this week, probably get you 5 catches. We'll see what he turns those into, how many yards, how many touchdowns those are. Hawkinson's still getting good work as well. They're throwing touchdowns to random guys. Aaron Jones should be in the mix pretty well this week as well. Mostly, though, for Jefferson at this point, I think that if you're trying to get that breakout day, taking it in best ball feels a lot better than chasing it in DFS week to week. Let's look position by position real fast here. I mean, I think it was a take thing. I mean, I listened to the show. I think he really wants Jefferson to hit. But that said, he did say like he's so due that he's now not due, I think was a bit. Good video. The video with him and Nerdy Tenor and Brick is a worthwhile watch every week. I've said that a few times on here. Definitely worth checking out with Nerdy Tenor really diving deep on sort of the EVA calculations, what he feels like is equilibrium now in the Battle Royales. I talked about it somewhat yesterday, but it's worth hearing. The issue is like Davis does streams for like fucking 2 hours. A little bit lengthy to have to get to the parts you want to hear, but honestly, skip like 20 minutes in. You're going to get close to where you have to be for that. Jalen Hurts, number 2. Josh Allen, number 1. We talked about those QBs. Baker Mayfield facing Vegas. Good spot for him. Does have Mike Evans, and obviously Cade Otton would be your double stack partner there. Jalen McMillan, it feels like could go off in any day, but really not easy stack partners to have for Baker Mayfield besides Mike Evans. Sam Darnold projects pretty well. 18.9 fantasy points at a $6,100 salary. I think he'll come up a little bit with Justin Jefferson in lineups. We'll see what we get in the optimizer in a moment. But Darnold right now, highly projected for a spot against Atlanta. Atlanta, you do need to push back, though, is really the main thing for any Minnesota game to shoot out. Atlanta's also been really not that great, Cousins in particular, in tough matchups on the year. Minnesota's defense is very good. It's a revenge spot for Cousins. Obviously, that all jibes, but I do worry about these Darnold projections and the Jefferson side of it as well, because I don't know that Atlanta is going to hold up on their end of things. I just like seeing how Cousins has looked this year, I don't know that he holds up against Minnesota team blitzing as much as they are, creating pressure as much as they are, that isn't weak in the secondary. I think could be a problem, but that game does seem like logically one of the games people will target as a shootout this week. Arizona, Seattle, Kyler Murray at number 5, 18.7 fantasy points for him. I think Kyler can have a good game. Not sold it's a shootout. Did love the usage last week with 12 targets for Harrison Jr. and McBride. That makes your stack partners a little bit more logical. I would not play a naked Kyler. I would want to play at least one of Harrison, one of McBride, maybe both to try to capture that ceiling, because for him to hit at QB, like it could be rushing, but realistically, it's probably got to be a lot of passing to those guys, at least one of them, and probably rushing with it. So Kyler to me, okay, but not a high total versus Seattle either. Your top RBs right now. Slate's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because we're missing like eight teams that matter a lot for fantasy. And frankly, I was writing up for the fantasy points column. Like I write up these teams every week. I write up a Houston bet every week, a Washington bet. Like they're all Baltimore. I've taken so much different players from Baltimore. These are all teams that are like kind of the core of everything we do in DFS and betting on the year. So as a result, you're just getting kind of a slate that feels like it's missing half the people, because it is quite literally missing half the people right now. What else are we looking at here? Sorry, I'm just pulling up something real fast on my phone. All right, we got Saquon again, top-ranked RBs, Alvin Kamara, Devon Achane, 19.1 fantasy points. I know Nerdy Tenor said his sims were lower on Devon Achane in the matchup against the Jets. The total in this one, 25.3 for Miami, in Miami, so no weather issues there. Not crazy about Achane in the slate. Would probably rather have Kamara. I mean, Kamara legit 6 points and change less with being lower salary. Achane should be a tournament play, but he probably gets owned a little bit too much. Bijan Robinson, 18.1 fantasy points. Bucky Irving, 16.9 fantasy points versus Vegas. A little bit tough to chase him getting that workload again this week. That said, Bucky Irving, as I've talked about over the last month, just taking leaps every single week with his ability to get into open space, create the big plays more. Some tweets out there, which are not mine, say that Bucky Irving is Jahmyr Gibbs that everybody was promised. In reality, because of the workload he's getting, how he's playing. But I think for Bucky Irving, a little bit tough to chase him up to 6,600. That said, he's fairly cheap if the opportunity does stay flat. So that's sort of the trade-off you have with our boy Bucky Irving, one of the best picks that I've been on from January. Your receivers. Receiver, once again, not a single player projected above 20. It is brutal. But we got Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors should have been, if you got into playing any Battle Royales, popular Battle Royale pick, going way too low based on projections. A.J. Brown, 17.7 for him. If you're not going to play Barkley, A.J. Brown should look a lot more appealing. Puka Nacua, 17.5. Is his projection at 7,700. Not a bad play versus Buffalo. Rams probably be trailing throughout that game. Puka and Kupp pitting together. Price tags were tough at 7K at 7,700, but I don't hate that idea to go to a Rams double stack in that spot. Tough matchup, though, but those are kind of the times when the Rams tournament options, I think, become a little bit better. Mike Evans, 17.1 for him going against Vegas. Hard to imagine him not scoring a touchdown again. Did hit on his anytime touchdown last week versus Carolina. Evans, I'm okay with on this slate. Kind of hard to prioritize him at 7,200, but not a bad play. Like, I'm okay with Evans. Tight end real fast. Brock Bowers, number one by a wide margin here. Though honestly, really high projections for these guys. These guys look like better plays than the wide receivers. God, I hate fantasy football this year, man. Just the wide receivers getting disrespected left and right. Brock Bowers, 17.95, almost 18 at 6,500. Trey McBride, 17.6 at 6,100. Njoku, a little bit of a cliff fall here to Njoku, 13.2 for 5,100. Johnny Smith, 12.8 fantasy points at 5,300. And Evan Ingram, 12.4 fantasy points at 4,800. Obviously going to get peppered with targets by Mac Jones, and Mac Jones just can't get the ball outside. So Evan Ingram benefits in that, but Bowers looks great against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's pass defense, we talked about the entire year, one of the worst in football. Giving up point. I mean, this game honestly could shoot out overall with them. Tampa Bay's giving up 0.12 EPA per dropback, 0.14 EPA per pass. They have limited tight end targets, but out of the slot where Bowers gets most of his targets, he has 68 slot targets on the year compared to 25, just in line as a tight end. They've given up a 0.38 EPA to the slot, which actually might be the worst in football. If not, it's the worst in week 14. 48% slot target rate. So on paper, this does look like a Bowers eruption spot. McBride, it's a tougher one. Like Buffalo defends everything well. Doesn't defend inline tight end targets as well. McBride does get this majority of targets there. Yeah, Bowers and McBride. That's a good combo. That's a combo to put in on that. I did hit on the Watson prop last night. Yeah, 100 plus at plus 630 was a good bet. But honestly, I have to make up in my fantasy points column. I'm still in the negative for the year because like it's so hard to pick 3 bets every week from like I pick 3 bets for myself that are kind of based on DFS plays I like, and then 3 bets that are from their prop tool. And just like the small sample size, I love writing a column for fantasy points. I love the idea of betting content. That said, like you're so much better off using unabated stuff, using the stochastic portfolio EV with OddsShopper. I'll link in the description if you want to check that stuff out. Those tools honestly are just so much better than any projection NFL tool. Like even the NFL prop bets that I use in that prop column for fantasy points, like they hit at a pretty good rate, but they're all like fucking juice to the gills, like minus 150. It's like, I just didn't know what you're getting from it. So to be real with you guys, like if I were to spend my money on betting, feel free to chase me on Christian Watson stuff. I do hit on him at a decent clip. But like if you're just trying to make money, just put in 150 bets a day, $1 bets, $2 bets, whatever, using those tools, using unabated. Link in the description for unabated, link in the description for stochastic. That's going to help a lot more. So it's like it's fun to get the Watson props right for content, but like in reality, I know what it is, and it just bums me out. It just bums me out that like that you got to do that content for fun, but like in reality, just real betting advice was like my company probably same thing. She's market-based data. Like that's it. So kind of thing I should probably never say out loud, but you guys know me. Try to always be honest with you guys about what betting looks like and what this industry looks like, and that's one of the things. Steelers, 2.9 fantasy points for them. Probably going to be a top value in the slate, 3,500, facing Jameis, as we saw versus Denver. Jameis can have bad days. Jameis can give up some touchdowns. Jameis can do whatever, and he will still keep dropping back. Highest pass attempt, rather, of Jameis's year. Almost had 60 pass attempts last game. Pittsburgh, as we also saw last week versus Cincinnati, that defense might be a little more fungible to give it into a shootout more. Russ on his side, too, could give in. Do kind of expect a little bit of a, I don't know how to phrase it, come to Jesus for Jameis here, like in this game. I don't know how he got away with what he did against Denver, but I think he put what he did on film against a tough defense. Another tough defense is kind of going to sniff it out this week in Pittsburgh, is my guess. So 10 fantasy points for Pittsburgh. No issue playing them against Jameis here at all. Honestly, even if they're super chalk, just a defense that I feel pretty good about playing. Eagles defense, 8.3 fantasy points. Another way that Saquon doesn't hit would be the Eagles getting there. If I had to guess, a lot of the casual players this week, just knowing the old school DFS rules, are going to plug in Saquon at 9K, plug in Eagles at 3,700. That is a lot of money to be spending on 2 positions, but they're going to do it. So Eagles defense going to come up a lot, but not a good value at all at a $3,700 salary. Saints D looks like a better value at 2,900 against the Giants. Obviously, my boy Drew Lock can fuck up at any time, even though it does look good for an anytime touchdown this week at plus 425. Dolphins, 8.1 fantasy points for them at 3,200. Titans, 8.1 at 2,800. And Vikings not too far off at 8 flat, 3,400. I would not hate that one either. Did I consider that Jameis asked the Lord to deliver him from pick sixes? I did see that. I saw that entirely too much, in fact. Look, only we can deliver ourselves from the things in front of us. God just gives us the tools to do it. And the tools that he's given Jameis are not good eyesight that LASIK cannot fix, and the inability to sniff out a defender within 10 yards of a wide receiver. Laddered Watson up to 120. That was nice. Yeah, that was what I had in my column. I thought that was a good bet too. I didn't do it myself. I was like, if he'll hit him plus 100, he didn't. If you laddered him up to like plus 110, he would have made probably plus 3,000 overall amidst all of those. So Watson was a great bet yesterday. I have to say there's one dude, really nice guy, this guy Matt, who DM'd me. I have to actually reply to him. DM me like a really long reply to my take on yesterday about Jaden Reed not being a good play. And he was like, oh, Jaden Reed like gave me the last game thing, which y'all know I hate. That's one of the things that I would never say is important. What a guy did last time versus a team. Brought out like some other data points. I'm like, look, if I get Jaden Reed and it works out for you, I'll be like, hey, kudos to this guy. Love Matt for writing it up. Like really I made a good argument again for Jaden Reed. But man, I was so fucking right about Jaden Reed yesterday. 0 for 0 for Jaden is awful. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But man, I pointed out the projection yesterday. That shit felt as good as the Watson thing hitting. Hitting a fade honestly feels as good as making money off of a bet to me, which is maybe sick at this point. Anyway, ownership here. We're up to this point of the show. Alvin Kamara, 46% ownership at his 8K salary. Garendo, 24% ownership at 5,400. Garendo going to get a good amount of work. The issue is, are the Niners good enough at this point to get something done against the Bears defense? And on the year, I mean, obviously, we saw Detroit have some success against them, but honestly, like Montgomery and Gibbs were not as good as they usually were on Thanksgiving against Chicago's defense. On the year, Chicago's defense, negative 0.01 EPA per rush is not that bad. Stuffing the run on 16% of plays. They don't miss a lot of tackles. 11% missed tackle rate be towards the lower part of the league. I just don't think I trust Garendo this much that the field's going to be here like crazy. I don't also trust that he'll get the red zone work he does. He's fast. He can break a touchdown at any time. Those are positives. This is a lot of Garendo ownership at 5,400. Juwan Jennings at 5,200. Again, I get this as well. You still have Debo there. You still have Kittle there. Juwan Jennings, the upside versus a tough Chicago defense, I'm not sold on. Chicago does play zone a bit above average, I guess. 57% zone defense rate. That is where Juwan Jennings does the best. A 28% target per out run, 2.9 yards per out run against zone defense on the year. This is really chalky ownership for a Niners team, though, that maybe just throws in the towel. Like Shanahan not getting the same impact out of these guys this year. Maybe the effectiveness of him waning a little bit. It also is one of the things that you definitely saw. When you saw McCaffrey talk about this week, talking about if it rains, it pours, like just reflecting on the year. I think the team probably feels the same way as McCaffrey does. Like they know at this point it's not their year. They still have like a 10% chance to make the playoffs, but it's not very good. So I think that's that. Take a join. Do you participate in fantasy football at all? Do you see what's on Twitter every day? Do you see people trying to rain on good plays every day? Like, I don't know what you're looking for here, but yeah, getting a player right in a showdown slate and calling when the entire industry was like, whoa, especially the dumber. Like, if anybody out there was talking to you about how good of a play Jaden Reed was, I would really question like what they're giving you. Some people I saw on social media, I have to say no disrespect to whoever posted it, because I'm sure somebody smart out there also said it. They were all like, it was the dumbest people touting Jaden Reed on social media yesterday. No disrespect, but call a spade a spade. Jacoby Myers, 20% ownership for him. Feels like a lot, but he's been playing well. Soft match with Tampa Bay. The issue, Aiden O'Connell's been sick this week, so that might impact his quality of play a little bit, but he did throw for 300 yards last time out. Offense looked infinitely better since Luke Getsy got fired for the Raiders, so I get the Myers play more than the Niners chalk, to be honest. Drake London, a lot of ownership for him at 18.5%. And Saquon here, you see projected 18.4. If I had to guess, we're talking 33%. Like, I think that nobody's going to get his ownership right because logical people at Stochastic, logic-minded people at ETR will go, people aren't going to play Saquon this much. And in reality, people are going to jam the shit out of Saquon this week. So 18% ownership, no chance. Brock Bowers, 17. Jerry Jeudy chasing his big game, 13% ownership on that. Jefferson rounded up 13. Hawkinson rounded up 13, highlighting some key guys. Puka Nacua under 10, and Njoku 10 flat if you want to pivot at tight end from Bowers and McBride. Nothing else to love here. A shout out Rough Buff Fire, another longtime member here. Hit the 20 max $1 entry for 3K. 3 to 13 is all I can give, knowing that I would have won to 30K and 500K. Oh, that's tough to hear, man. But I appreciate it, Rough Buff Fire. Glad to hear you're doing well. Hopefully you faded. I mean, have to assume you faded Jaden Reed in that one. So you're on the right side of history. But shout out Rough Buff Fire. Shout out Nolan. Glad to see you guys doing well. Honestly, brings joy to me. Like I've had an okay DFS year, but definitely not the gains I try to hit just because I'm not playing as much bankroll this year. But you know, for you guys hitting, it does make me feel good that we're doing something right here. Even if I'm not seeing it myself. Here we go. All right, let's go to the solver next. I'm honestly glad to hear it though. Nolan in particular on a real run, but Rough Up Fire, I didn't know you were playing that well, man. That's awesome to see. All right, we got main slate coming up here. Of course, what we're going to do is just look at the projections for ETR. Real fast, look at the top projected players for them based on ETR's data. Number one for them is, they have Kamara number one and Saquon at 24.5. So they are not even giving Saquon the full respect. As a result, that Saquon ownership's got to be down, right? They have Saquon at 16.2. No fucking chance he'll be that lowly owned. Mike Leone, I am sure, is going to have a a vicious segment about Saquon Barkley on Establish the Million with Drew Dinkmeyer coming up behind the paywall at ETR, but they are projecting Barkley lower than Kamara. That is crazy. Jalen Hurts, not that far off as well, 23.5. So I imagine we're going to be getting some Hurts lineups with Kamara here coming up in a moment. Josh Allen, 23.2. Baker, 20.3. Still no receivers above 20 fantasy points projected by ETR, but they have Jefferson number 1, Evans number 2, and not that far behind. Puka number 3. There you go. Brock Bowers, a little bit lower here relative to the rankings, but still 18.2 for him. So he's highly projected everywhere. Looks like they're low on Trey McBride. McBride, they have at 16.2. Have him a lot further away from McBride than Stochastic does. Still a top projection. Still definitely a gap between McBride and Njoku, but Stochastic makes it look like Bowers, McBride is one tier. ETR is making it look like Bowers, McBride, and then everybody else. And their defense is real fast too, just out of curiosity. They have the Eagles a little bit low, Eagles a little bit higher, Steelers a little bit lower. Those are your key differences between ETR and Stochastic data, so just something to kind of file away. All right, top 25 lineups. We'll find out what the projection math is going to drive people to the most. And it is not Saquon Barkley. Your cash game play is not Saquon. Man, practically, I think you should probably put Saquon in a cash game lineup because what I expect his ownership to be. Generally, for cash games, you want to have just the highest owned plays. Those are the ones that the entire market is sort of settling on as the top projected guys. Kamara and Garendo, I get, but I think you'd probably want Saquon in cash. I have almost 30% advance rate best ball last every week at DFS. Well, yeah, I mean, look, honestly, at DFS, last place lineups don't look too dissimilar from first place lineups. So at least you got that going for you. But yeah, look, hey, take your joys wherever you can get them. We'll see. At this point for me, with how even they have BBMDB now is like a calculator tool to see what your advance rate would be based off sims. I got to tell you guys, I don't feel great about best ball, but honestly, I feel great about the big board. Big board might turn out for me. BBM, I just like, if something wins, it is going to be the upset of the century for me, but I don't know. I'm trying not to be too invested in it yet. We'll get invested when it's week 16, if anything's alive. Anyway, your cash game lineup, if you're playing a cash game at 11:28 a.m. on the East Coast on Friday, Will Levis, Alvin Kamara, Isaac Garendo, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Brock Bowers. It is nuts to see 2 Raiders in a cash game lineup, but honestly, completely fair given the matchup and how they played lately, but nuts. A full Raiders Bucks game stack. Kate Otten makes this lineup too. So that game could be shootouty, I guess. Also does increase the value of Bucky Irving if you're getting Evans, Jacoby Myers, Bowers, and Otten together in an optimal lineup. I think that could make it more of a Bucky, a Rashad White week if you want to go that way. But like, that's a lot of pass game from Raiders Bucks. Jags D makes this lineup as well. I get it. Jags D against Will Levis. That's rare to see in a cash game too. This is a weird week. This is a weird week. In your top 25 lineups, you're getting 100% Alvin Kamara, 100% Juwan Jennings, 100% Isaac Garendo. You getting any Saquon at all? Not a single share of Saquon. So, like, here's the fucked up part. And this is like the thing with DFS that I think is really complicated when you account for ownership, how different sites are going to make people play certain players more, like how it all comes together. Like, logistically here, if you look at these numbers, you look at Kamara coming in 100% of lineups, logically, that would make Saquon Barkley a great tournament play. The issue is that they still have Saquon projected for 16% ownership. Stochastic still has him for 18. I think he's closer to 33. I don't think he is a good play, but like numerically right now, none of these sites are accounting for what I guess is going to be Saquon's true ownership. I just like the amount of hype for him against Carolina that I've heard, just seen on social media, heard people talk about on content. Like, he's going to get highly owned, but he looks like a good play based on this data. So doesn't mean you throw it out, but it is one of those weird quirks where like the data's saying play Kamara, and Kamara's probably the more of a tournament play because everybody's going to rush to play Saquon, as they logically should, as a 13-point favorite against Carolina. We've seen that spot bust enough this year, by the way, just for what it's worth too. Kareem Hunt busting there most memorably a couple weeks ago. But you know, RBs have failed versus Carolina too, so I don't think people will make that jump either. But it's just weird. It's a very weird week. You're getting 16% Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers, and all these top 25 lineups. Evans, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers, and 12%. So really, it's a lot of Raiders Bucks stuff. Getting Levis and Ingram stacked up together. What's that? In terms of teammates, you're getting Garendo and Jennings in 88% of lineups. I get the value on both of them. I think they're fairly reasonably priced for the slate. I think you can just take those guys out of some lineups and feel probably better about them. I might be writing off the Niners a little prematurely, but 23.8 point implied total is not that high. Chicago, I do think, can defend them well with how poorly they've played on the year. There's a lot of Niners coming up, a lot of Raiders coming up, 72% Myers and Bowers in these top 25 lineups. This is crazy. We'll look at the solver sims on Sunday morning on the final takes video. Let's go to stochastic next. Keep me on pace. We'll build some 10,000 lineups on here. Look at the top ROI ones. And of course, on Sunday, we'll go game by game, QB by QB, looking at the solver sims, those top ones, looking at stochastic sims. That's coming up Sunday morning at 9 a.m. here on the channel. 8:55 a.m. technically is when I start. All right, let's generate these lineups. Checking the chats. Myers not practicing concern me. It doesn't concern me right now. For a Friday video, no. Honestly, if he plays, he's fine. The matchup's too soft because usage has been too good. But if you want to be concerned about it, you can. I'm more concerned about Aiden O'Connell not practicing, to be honest. But even that doesn't worry me that much. Bucky didn't practice last 2 days. It doesn't really matter. They're just keeping him safe at this point. They're trying to protect his toe/hip stuff. He's probably fine. Little board 3 or 4 advance. I think it's 3 for everything, but I don't know. And Bucky fucked the Panthers, which is what people remember. He sure did fuck the Panthers. There have been good games against the Panthers. Like, the Panthers are not a good run defense, but like, they're also not a team that's only giving up run game production. It's just really the main thing there. We're going to talk about it more when I do the game by game preview for the paying members, but for Carolina, not playing a lot of man. Actually, no, they are. Wait, hold on. Where's those numbers? No, they're not playing a lot of man. 23% man defense rate, so not a natural A.J. Brown spot. They do get killed when they play zone, and A.J. Brown's still good in zone, just less good, but 3.1 yards per out run. Devontae Smith is better versus zone, too. So I personally believe there's a credible argument to be made. Go to a Jalen Hurts double with Devontae and A.J. Brown. Devontae is so cheap now at 5,800. Honestly, Devontae is a pretty live pivot to guys like Juwan Jennings. We're coming up a ton, but it's neither here nor there. All right. I don't know what it is to first place in the millie. Probably 30%. Let's do it that way. Let's sim these out here. Okay, we have 10,000 lineups that were built. They're going to sim out, compete against each other 10,000 times. And through that prism, we'll find what the top ROI players are right now. Hip and back for Bucky. Yeah, he's been banged up all year. He's a smaller guy. I still wouldn't worry about it. He's played through, apparently the toe injury he's had has been one that he's had his entire career. But look, you're putting a lot of miles on a guy that is kind of small. If you want to worry about it, you can. Well, in SMNet, you're not even a paying member right now, Adam, so never. And even then, I still wouldn't do it if you were. But at least you'd have a shot. But yeah, no. You go to Neil Orfield if you want the other showdowns. You think he does all of them? But I care about only the contests I'm playing. For Sunday Night Football, I'm usually done from the day, and I have to do Lucas bedtime. So I usually just put in 1 to 5 lineups max for Sunday Night Football. And also the games, I'm usually just I don't like this game. I feel like that happens to line up a lot for me with Sunday night. Whereas Thursday night's the opposite, where I'm I get excited for this game. Sunday night games are just enough football for today. I'll watch this, but begrudgingly. How old's Luka now? He turns 3 in March. So we're in the salad days. But he's good. He's good this morning. Was a good boy. Watched some cars on the road in bed because daddy does not want to wake up at 6 a.m. and be functional. But he was cool. Got ready for school. He's doing his thing. It'll be his first birthday where he's actually aware of what's going on. Same thing with Christmas. So trying to use Santa to extort him more and go oh, I'm going to call Santa if you don't eat your food. So that was working for a day. It seems like it's working less. He's willing to call Santa's bluff, which is bullshit. That's my child. What? They have Tommy DeVito in? Tommy DeVito's not starting. Haven't they already said it's going to be Drew Lock? Did I miss something? It's also been Lock taking all the first team work. So that must be not a great projection. Hold on. Also, Malik Neighbor's not practicing today. Oh man, is everything getting fucked up? Let's see. Nothing about Tommy DeVito coming up. And I'm pretty sure DeVito is still suffering from his forearm injury. Checking in Twitter on a separate page. All right, I don't get why they're projecting Tommy DeVito, but he's your number one ROI lineup right now. DeVito with Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris, Malik Neighbors, Calvin Ridley, Wan'Dale Robinson, Brock Bowers, K-Dot, and Steelers. So I presume the same logic would apply if it's Drew Lock starting. All right, I don't know if you're trolling or what, but it's DeVito's still hurt from the same injury, but whatever. For right now, it's DeVito in for stochastic projections. Clean bill of health. Oh, they're bypassing it for Lock. Okay. I don't know. I assume it's Drew Lock starting. The main thing I'm now worried about is that Neighbors in practice was the same case last week as well. But obviously, if Neighbors were out, this would probably materially change the outcome here. I wouldn't go flocking to Wan'Dale Robinson in a stack without Neighbors just because he's gone. If that were the case, but I also took a lot of Neighbors in the battle royales I was playing with earlier in the week, so that's not fun. But right now, Tommy DeVito, top ROI lineup, and that's the one. Number 2 is Baker Mayfield, Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris again, Mike Evans, Jerry Jeudy. Kevin Austin Jr. makes it from the Saints. That's odd. Cade Otton, Trey McBride, Saints D. Number 3 is Tua Tagovailoa, Alvin Kamara, Garendo, Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Juwan Jennings, Jonnu Smith, Juwan Johnson, and Saints. Said Neighbors just for precaution. All right, I hope so. That's really a lot of odd things. The Tommy DeVito part here and the Neighbors, me opening Twitter and saying, oh, Neighbors out of practice. Do not fill me with joy about these Giants team that should be tanking anyway. Tommy DeVito, Alvin Kamara at number 4, Isaac Garendo, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Juwan Jennings, David Njoku, Evan Ingram, and Jaguars. You're just getting Garendo and some of these lineups here. Getting Kamara and everything, though, up top. Will Levis at number 5 with Bucky Irving, Tony Pollard, Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Cade Otton, Trey McBride, and Falcons. Don't love any of these lineups. The one I could get with the most is probably the Baker one, but Kevin Austin Jr., I feel like it shouldn't really be a play. What's his projection? Looking at a different tab at Kevin Austin Jr. here. Let's see if he's anything noteworthy. Kevin Austin Jr., a 6.4 projection at 3,300 makes the lineup. Okay. Sure, why not? DeVito got his guys a strong arm. He wishes he had got. Every Italian kid and grew up in the greater New York, New Jersey area wishes they were actually mafia connected. That's why it's such a fucking farce. They dress these guys up like they're in Goodfellas. Not even in Goodfellas. They dress them up like they're in fucking the 1950s Godfather, like the flashback for Marlon Brando becoming Godfather. Really just a fucking joke, an embarrassment to Italian people, really is how I feel about it. Neither here nor there, but I say that obviously as somebody that has the Italian bona fides. You're getting a stupid ROI on Tommy DeVito at 4,200, 58% ROI. Again, don't think he starts, but if he were 4,200, I get the logic. Amir Abdullah, 17% ROI for him. He lost work to Sincere McCormick last week. The snap count for those guys, let me check real fast. Sincere got to 26 snaps. Abdullah played 42, was down for 69 the week before. Amir Abdullah doesn't feel like a great play either. K. Dotton, 7%. Kevin Austin, 7% ROI. Cole Kmet, 6% ROI. Malik Neighbors, 5% rounded up. Garendo, 3% rounded up. Najee Harris, 2% rounded up. Trey McBride, 1%. And Juwan Jennings are rounded up 1%. Italian people are very defensive. Other Italian people act, and I love it. It's just more that, like, for me in particular, I think makes me uncomfortable that Italian people are one of few ethnicities that you just kind of make fun of and go like, these fucking, like Alex called Luca Guido the other day. And I'm like, should we really, like, that's a kind of a slur. Like, I don't know that we should be doing that for our kid. But that's really it. It's also too that like people do ham up the Italianness when like, like I grew up in an Italian family too. Like I get it, but it's not shtick. Like it's not like, it's just people like everything else. So, especially something that has like multiple ethnicities, and me, I find it really uncomfortable how people could just like say whatever. You call Italian people wops, and it's like that meant without papers. That's reflecting like immigrant stuff that was uncomfortable back in the day. Even the name Tony, like a lot of Italian men got named Tony because like this is actually like a joke that people make about Italian people. Like there's a lot of people that would be named Tony because they came over and it said to New York on their like suitcase. And like that's how a lot of Italian men got named Tony, even though there's also a lot named Anthony. There's a lot of shit that goes on with Italian people that you just don't hear in American culture. But anyway, it's the Friday video. You got to go on some rants. The guys in dolls outfits. Yes, the fake gangster ones. Dressing like fucking they're selling meatballs, and I think you should leave. Alvin Kamara, 59% exposure for him compared to the field's 46%. So good chalk on that. Isaac Guerrero, 43% compared to 24. Malik Neighbors, 41% compared to 13. Big stand on Malik Neighbors here. The top 150 sim lineups from Stochastic. Trey McBride, 38% compared to 18. 2x the field on Trey McBride. So maybe lower on Brock Bowers. No, still high on Brock Bowers. 19% Bowers compared to 17. And then McBride, more than double the field on him. So double elite tight end seems to be on the menu with these top 150. Juwan Jennings, 38% compared to 21. Najee, 36 compared to 18. Yeah, it's a lot of Najee. Najee's been playing well. I get it. Do I like Amari Cooper against the Rams? No, I do not. Amari Cooper at this point, the workload, he might hit, but it really doesn't feel that good at this point. Do I do the 7-fish Christmas? No, but my various Sicilian relatives do. Which again, bridge too far for me. We're fucking in America. We don't need to do salted fish that nobody wants to eat. What are we, Jewish people? We got K Dotton, 35% compared to 15. 2x, more than 2x the field on K Dotton. Just loading up on tight ends really seems to be the main observation here. Your highest leverage players in the top 150 lineups right now: Malik Neighbors at 28%, Tommy DeVito 22%. Nope. Trey McBride, 20% leverage on him. K Dotton, 19%. Najee Harris, 19% rounded up. Guerrero, 18% leverage. And Juwan Jennings, 17% leverage. They love, I mean, I guess honestly ETR does too, love the Niners fill-ins. I feel, I don't even know if there's like a no ball take. Like, I just don't think the Niners are good at this point. What have we seen that makes you think like, hey, let me load up on Niners. This is where they get things right against a tough defense. I'm not sold on that. That's true. I would never play in a stereo. Honestly, that was just me reclaiming something. That's how I feel about it. Amari Cooper would have cooked with Jameis. He would have. It's true. Yeah, kind of sad to see, honestly. Those guys should be in a decent situation if Tillman can't get back in this week, because Tillman's still in concussion protocol. Must have gotten really fucked up on that concussion, which sad to see for Tillman, a guy's playing incredibly well. Your most under-leveraged plays here, getting James Conner, negative 11%, basically no exposure compared to the field's 11. George Pickens, negative 10%. Metcalf, negative 8. Devontae Adams, negative 8, rounded up. Bijan, negative 7. DeAndre Swift, negative 6. Tyrone Tracy, negative 6 as well. So probably a fade there, mostly because the Sims love Kamara, so you're not getting the Oppo RB quite as much. But definitely some stands here. I don't know. Let's hand build one out. Let's see how we can do that instead. Still got a battle royale and a pick'em coming up, guys. And of course, if you are a paying member, joining down below for $4.99, you'll have another video for me after this one ends. I'll go game by game, looking at all the advanced analytics, and I'll do that the moment this one ends. All right, where's my single lineup simulator? Here we go. Let's zoom out. Do 30% to first again, because I think that's what it is. Honestly, I don't know, but it's probably 30 to 35. All right, what are we going to build here? I mean, we know the sim loves Kamara. Really no issue to not play Kamara. I just don't know that he scores touchdowns is really my concern. Odds of him scoring touchdowns get higher with Taysom Hill out. Odds of him getting more checkdowns higher with Taysom Hill out. I'm just not sold that he's worth 25 fantasy points, but I think it's got to be the place we start based on everything I've seen so far. Tracy might be very sneaky and good leverage. Maybe. I don't know if I trust Fumbleina that much, though. He's been okay, but week to week, I don't know. Juwan Johnson should benefit too. With how he's been used this year, I don't know that he gets more touchdowns either. Let's go to QB and see what we can get. I think I got to go the anti-Saquon way. Jalen Hurts at QB, hopefully gets a tush push for a touchdown, and then has to create some passing production. A.J. Brown at 8,100 looks okay. What's Devontae Smith at? No, his price tag's 5,800. 12.1 projection's pretty low for him. How much worse is his usage, really? He's getting 6.2 targets a game to A.J. Brown's 7. His A-dot is 10.1 compared to A.J. Brown's 13.3. Devontae Smith getting more red zone targets than A.J. Brown. That's odd. A.J. Brown's only getting 0.5 red zone targets a game. Devontae Smith getting 0.7 in the red zone per game, and then 0.2 inside the 10-yard line. I'm going Devontae. We will not be playing Eddie Guerrero on the slate. I assume you mean Guerrero. I just said multiple times I'm not that big on Guerrero, so I'm not going to go Guerrero here personally. I get why you would. Not for me. I'll I'll play him in some lineups on Sunday for the record, but not for a hand build. I just don't believe in Guerrero that much. And frankly, like the workload for Jordan Mason was very good to start, got worse as it went. Like I don't think they actually want to give these guys as much red zone work as CMC got last year. If Guerrero doesn't get that and doesn't break his long touchdowns, I don't know what he really gives you. Do we want to pay down for anything here? I think in my heart, it's still Bucky. Like I don't want to play as much of the Raiders Bucks pass game as we were getting in the optimizers. So I'm gonna see if I could fit Bucky in here. This is now a lot of salary spent, so we gotta do something to save money somewhere. Tight end feels like not a spot to save money either. Brock Bowers, I think, is a very strong play. This CM, I'm gonna have to play some fucking dog shit. I have to walk some plays back, I think. But I like Brock Bowers a lot. I like Bucky enough. Feels kind of point chasey with Bucky though, but really not a lot of cheap RBs I like, and I'm not crazy about Isaac Guerrero. Again, I would play Eddie Guerrero. He would like hit somebody with a championship belt and then run for a touchdown or something. The referee would look the other way. It would work out really well. Sterling Shepard is okay. Honestly, he and McMillan, I have a hard time playing at this point. I don't want to play Jacoby Myers with Bowers. I think Myers is a perfectly valid play in this spot. Honestly, I guess he could play both. We have so little money left. This is an awful build. I hate this slate. This is my first time building a lineup for the slate here, besides whatever we ran in the optimizer here. This is awful. How much is Addison? I'm sure not cheap because he's actually had some good games lately. 5,300 for Addison's not bad. All right, you sold me. Jordan Addison. Who's Smitty? Are we talking about Devontae Smith? Who's Smitty? Fucking Smitty I worked with at Barstool? I don't think I can click him here. Okay, we don't have enough money left now. We're gonna have to walk something back here. All right. I guess we can't go Hurts. So this is just how people play Aiden O'Connell. It's like, I wanted Jalen Hurts really bad. Well, I guess I'll settle for Aiden O'Connell, but I can live with it. Aiden O'Connell, we have the double stack anyway. We now have 3,700 left. I think we do have to play Eagles D on this one. Eagles D. I don't think he's commonly Smitty. I don't think everybody's like, oh, Smitty's. I don't think in the locker room, they're not like, oh, Smitty. One thing that's weird too, which I saw right before the show. So apparently the Eagles offensive lineman, and it almost feels sarcastic, put up a shrine to Saquon Barkley where they call him our savior or something like on it. I don't know the deals with that, but just odd. I feel like I should mention it here in case that resonates with somebody and they want to do something about it. Cedric Wilson Jr. Oh, yeah. Close personal friend, Adam, fuck off. If it were for a Georgia guy, I'd believe you. I know people have called it, but I don't think it's like, oh, you call him Smitty and that's like his nickname. It's like, I don't think that's it. It's not like fucking sauce for Ahmed Gardner. All right. We need one more player here, and everybody is awful at this price range. Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is technically a play here. I don't think we can afford Bucky. Like, how are we going to play lineups this week? This is awful. I'm going to put in Cole Kmet because he's a player who's going to play football and he randomly spikes big days. I have no reason to play Cole Kmet for the record, but let's run this sim and see what we get. I've only heard Smitty for white people. Only white dudes like to be called Smitty. I agree. But I have heard people say Smitty for Devontae Smith, but I don't think it's like, oh, that's like his preferred name. He loves to be called Smitty. I sincerely doubt that. All right, we got a positive ROI, so I give up. We got a 23% ROI on this one. The final lineup here, 0.2% win rate on Aiden O'Connell, Alvin Kamara, Bucky Irving, Devontae Smith, Jacoby Myers, Jordan Addison, Brock Bowers, Cole Kmet, and Eagles D. So double tight end feels unavoidable here. If you pay for Kamara, you are so boxed out. The Saquon teams this week are going to be awful, I think. They're really going to be not good plays. We got a positive ROI on one try, and that's all I can give you here. Got to say, though, man, I do not like these teams. I do not like the teams I saw in the sim. I don't like the team I just built. I don't like any part of what we have going on right now. But maybe I'll like something in the world of Underdog Battle Royales. Let's go over to Underdog. Of course, if you want to play Battle Royales this week, it is still a decent prize pool. You got your 40K to first once again. Won a Pete's Deposit Game, guys. I think won it last week too, or a couple weeks ago. Chip, who's sometimes been in our chats. I think now he's like part of the cool guys who like have to fucking hate me because the fucking weirdos. There's a lot of weirdos in that Discord, for the record. But we're gonna hop into a battle royale. We're not gonna worry about that. We're gonna try to win 40K like that guy did. And we'll see. This one will fill slowly, I'm sure. And I'm going to try to see. Let me see if it actually shows on screen here. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let me share this a different way. I'm going to show you guys, or try to show you guys, the window here so you can see the solver draft stuff. So here you go. Okay. So here's the solver draft assistant. It's free right now. I actually don't know if I updated my exposures. So I have a couple drafts done. Let me see if I could do that really fast on another tab. Basically what it does is it infuses ETR projections into a battle royale and shows you just what the best plays are based off ETR data. You still do have to know battle royales a little bit. I don't think it's going to lead you to the pay window in terms of like building unique entries and shit like that. All right. All right, to sync my exposures in a different tab, so we'll have those. And we need one more in this battle royale. So let's see whenever this fucking fills. But battle royale, 40K to first place. Let's see what the solver does with it. And here are the little settings you could do if you don't want to play tight end in the flex. It's naturally not clicked. You could do it though. If you only want to play RB in the flex, it'll weight those guys more. But just want to show you guys this tool because I frankly think you need, at this point in battle royales, if you're not putting in 150 entries or honestly 100, whatever, I think you need some assistance to actually make good lineups at battle royales at this point. But that's personally how I feel about it. Others may feel differently. And hopefully, if anybody wants to join this tournament, feel free. Oh, there we go. We're good. Join the draft, all the best players. Can't wait to see that. Eagles O-line is weird. They'll get judgment for idolizing false gods, Lions. They are weird, but you know what? They are really doing a lot of push for old Saquon this year. Again, the yards per carry stats for him are just ridiculous. Like the fact he's getting, I think it's now over 3.5 yards per carry based on fantasy points data. Just ridiculous. Like just ridiculous thing to have. Battle Royale seem terrible for mental health. I don't enjoy them as much as I used to because I think they used to be a very fun shitter game. Now that you have people that just spend their entire legit waking hours trying to figure them out, which is what was bound to happen. I think they're just less fun. I think any tool that makes it so it's a little bit more of an even playing field's a positive. More power to those guys. Like they're squeezing every dollar they can out of these tournaments, but like legit, like you're running up against like people who think they're awesome-o, but they're just like guys putting in a lot of lineups with a random number generator on projections. I don't think it's I have quibbles about battle royales. I'm happy to see guys like Pete doing well with it, but like I really I don't think it's the best DFS environment for most people, to be honest. But yeah. Maybe I just don't know enough, right? That could be it. It's a rough way to look at it, but you said it. Me and BR, not the most fun. The lower entry stuff is more fun. That seems fair. The thing to me is just like I want to pay like for DraftKings. I want to play for 100K. I want to play for $1 million. Like that's what's fun to me. Even if I'm getting less entries into those. Same thing for a battle royale. Like I'd rather play for 40K than not. All right, so with ETR's data, you're going to get Jalen Hurts and Brock Bowers here. I think every fucking time. Jalen Hurts projects too well relative to other QBs. Obviously, you're getting leverage against Saquon at this point. I've picked so many times in the 6 hole. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts again, though. Jefferson seems fine at the spot. Everybody here is going to take Jefferson. I still feel like Brock Bowers has a lot of ceiling here. So we are taking the 2 onesie positions, trying to make them count here with a Jalen Hurts, Brock Bowers start. That, as you saw with my exposure, is fairly chalky to me right now. But I do like a Hurts Bowers start here. We'll have to find some way to get unique. One thing that some of the Battle Royale people believe is that going later in the draft for your QB tends to be the better move. I'm not sure that's the case, but also I realize now we don't really need that Chrome tab. So let me let me switch back to the normal view. One sec. But I did want to show you guys here. So that's Solver, the Solver Draft Assistant tool. Coming for Brick's Draft Caddy, I guess, with their approach. That's free right now. And you also can use ETR projections for free for it right now. You don't need a login or anything. I presume it's just because they want to test it out and see how people do with it. So if you want to play with your Battle Royales, can't do it on mobile, obviously, but it is a Chrome extension that you're seeing on the screen right here to color code everything based on ETR's top projected players. So check it out. It's worth a shot. If nothing else, you'll probably build lineups that have a better shot to cash. Winning first place, that ETR tool, and just taking it at its face value you're probably not going to get first place just for the reasons I talked about. Too many guys trying to exploit every micro edge in it, which makes it tough. Like, again, that's what you should do if you're a bettor, trying to make money off it. Underdog is the middle that's wildly off-putting to Sims 150 bros and probably too hard to win the big tourneys. For single entry shitter bros, it's a needle they're threading, but the puzzle is fun. Yeah, look, I don't know what the solution is. Maybe more 20 maxes with the same prize pool would be it. But again, like you look at some of the channels on the Positive Discord, and it's just guys who are like really protective of what they view as their edge, like to the point of like, I think being toxic about it. And then also just like a lot of people that really are spending legit every moment they are alive thinking about how to make this as profitable as it can for them. And I get it. But it's like, it's costs a lot of money to get these guys, to get good lineups in. And then, you know, payouts are there for some guys, but you really got to be doing it on the reg. And honestly, probably need to have built up like years of a knowledge base for yourself. George Pickens looks like the play here. I do think he's probably less owned for me with these combos. I have in 1/3, it looks like, of my team so far. I've only drafted 3. But we'll take Pickens with 1 pick. Malik Neighbors, I'm getting in all of them. But so 67% of my teams have Neighbors previously. That's a start that I've hit before. He is higher projected right now than Cooper Kupp is. Kyron versus Buffalo feels pretty tough. RB is so shitty. I'm going to go Neighbors again. If I'm going to use this tool, I'm just going to try to use it the way that it's built to do right now. That's it. You find it fun, go for it. Grinding 150 drafts, trying to get marginally different lineups for 75 cents of EV feels more like a job for me. I get it. I think that's fair. I don't think the volume is there to diversify the tournaments. That's also probably true. I mean, I think it's really honestly their biggest issue, frankly, with Underdog in general. And honestly, I think I'm probably guilty of it for best ball. Like, I think that there is a little bit of navel gazing for the people that do every Underdog thing obsessively. And then they kind of make it a not great environment for people that do Underdog just for fun a little bit. And I think it is like a tough needle to thread, like somebody was saying earlier in the chat. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I would love to get more into battle royales, but frankly, just like Underdog would have to pay me to do more because it's a lot of effort. And frankly, the edge, I don't know what the edge really is. The edge is doing a lot and just going, this guy, nobody takes this guy. He might suck, but I'll take him. But hey, works for some people. That's all I can say. I feel like I'm coming off like real cynical about battle royales, but like I feel like I've had a lot that I haven't said about them this year. And I think a lot of it kind of crystallized to me this week, just hearing some of the conversations around it with Nerdy Tenor, and in general, just kind of reading some more stuff. I don't know why I did more this week. But yeah, it's tough, man. Any game of these types is kind of tough when you are really competing with a lot of people for not a lot of prizes. This is the Solver extension creating all the pretty colors. That is, yes, it is. The draft assistant tool. If you search a Solver draft assistant, you'll get it on the Chrome store. So if you want to get it, it's legit a one-click download. It's not like the Draft Caddy thing where you have to kind of do it as a developer mode thing. They make it very easy. They did it through the normal way of submitting apps. All right. 2 picks left. Going to have to get unique with them. And we can go RB or wide receiver. So stochastic sim ROIs hated James Conner. The Solver tool seems to think James Conner is probably underplayed at a 15-point projection. We'll go James Conner again. I feel like I have this exact team already built before, though, in a battle royale. Garendo popping up here projection-wise. I've not taken Garendo. Our scroll-down pick would be a running back in the same game. Devontae Adams, if you want to go 3 receivers. Nobody else projects that well. DeAndre Swift, if I want to fade all the Niners shit, but he's questionable right now. I'm going to go Swift. Just think game theory-wise, with it being a situation a lot of people here would take Garendo. A lot of people do take Garendo in these tournaments. Nobody's taking Swift for the most part. That's going to be our low-owned piece. So a 1-2-2-1. Jalen Hurts is our Barkley leverage. James Conner projects too well. DeAndre Swift, our scroll-down pick to get unique. Going to be under 5% owned, to be most likely there. George Pickens, Malik Neighbors, and then Brock Bowers, a tight end. So I've unfortunately been only picking the 6 hole when I've done drafts. I'm probably going to do that many more. So I'm going to have a lot of Jalen Hurts teams going against the Saquon chalk this week. All right, and now our pick'em, the last step on the tour here. Of course, I'll be back on Sunday doing the final takes video. I'll also be back on Splash Play NBA at 4 p.m., cracking open a beer, doing the NBA slate. Frankly, NBA, just I think for the most part, crushing the takes on all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes coming up. All right, let me go. Now, I always struggle to remember what I put in my fantasy points column. My big takes on the week. Let's see what we have for Saquon markets. It is still Splash Play. I can't imagine taking an under on Saquon. Man, his market line is 110.5. That is brutal. I took a Drew Lock anytime touchdown. I don't think I get anytime touchdowns in Pennsylvania, even though we don't get anything in Pennsylvania. They give me some markets, but not all of them. Yeah, Drew Lock probably would not take any of these. Honestly, Drew Lock higher on 16.5 rushing yards. I could live with that. Drew Lock higher 16.5 rushing yards feels pretty good to add to a card for me. Think he's going to run out of desperation here a little bit more. New Orleans should be able to create some pressure. Drew Lock getting forced out of the pocket is going to make him run a little bit. So Drew Lock, if he's starting, again, the stochastic projections don't seem to think he will, but I do. 16.5 rushing yards for me and Drew Lock. Number 2, who do we go to here? I mean, Bowers, I feel pretty strongly about this week. Not taking the fantasy points column because I didn't really love any lines for him. That's at 71.5 receiving yards. He's been crushing. I can hit that. Brock Bowers, also a good quote from the coach weekend next this week. Antonio Pierce talked about him basically saying anytime that 89's out there, they're going to try to get on the ball. So for Brock Bowers, he's been a monster on the year. They're dedicated to getting the ball. I would take higher on 71.5 receiving yards. Yeah, Nolan big dicking. He is indeed. Nolan, one of the biggest super chats I've ever seen on stream. So shout out to him here. Glad he's doing well. Glad he's doing well. Glad his run is doing well. All right, what else are we hitting here? In a slate where I really just don't believe in anything. It's one of the toughest ones. Try to navigate around. What are Kamara's lines? 122.5 combined. Oh, that's so much. All right. 37.5 receiving yards. Man, they're getting you on the fucking, that's so shitty, by the way. So 81.5, 37.5. If you take the combined, you have to get another bonus 4 yards. That's bullshit. But I'll take the higher on 122.5 rushing and receiving. Think for Kamara, if you're going to play any betting markets for him, whether we pick him or otherwise, try to get the combo yards there because there's just too many ways they can use him. And frankly, the pass game might be more productive for him at this point. He's going to be like a large vessel for them moving the ball. So I would really try to get that. UD squeezing the shit out of everything, right? UD is in their full sportsbook era. You missed Tyler missed my battle royale rants, but yeah, this is not. I'm not doing the best ad for Underdog. Still love their product, but it's there's growth. There's always growth with everything. All right, what else do we want to take here? This dog shit week. Addison, I took a catch line for. With fantasy points data. Yeah, they have the same one. Higher on 3.5 receptions. Fantasy points has them for 4.4. There's enough of a reason for it. Really, the Jefferson fade's the main one. Addison's workload's been pretty good. He's actually had more first read targets over the last month than Jefferson has had for Minnesota, which is one of those things that makes me really uncomfortable. Oh, look, Underdog heard us, and they lowered Alvin Kamara's line a little bit. So they just lowered it too. Hey, we're getting value here. 120.5 on Kamara. But yeah, Addison higher on 3.5 receptions feels pretty good to me. Getting a lot of usage. Again, that first read thing is bizarre, honestly, to have that many first read targets for Addison compared to Jefferson. Maybe at this week they correct things, but in a soft Atlanta defense, Addison's getting the work. I think he's a good hire this week. And what else? Oh, I took a Russ over on passing, so we could do a hire for him maybe. Line's a little bit higher. I got Russ at 222.5 yesterday on the main sportsbook markets. 228.5 still feels okay. I would go higher, 228.5. So this is my final pick 'em. Again, I can't enter it in PA. I'll try symbolically as I always do. 20x payout as well. You got Kamara. Oh, actually, no, we got Drew Lock. Higher, 18.5 rushing yards. Unfortunately, that one went up while we were doing the video. So they gave me some bonus on Kamara. Thought my critique was fair. And then they added 2 more into Drew Lock as a tax for it. But now higher on 18.5 rushing yards. If you can get it 16.5, get that. Brock Bowers, higher on 71.5 rushing yards. Alvin Kamara, 120.5 rushing and receiving. I just think it's a little bit easier to try to hit the combo platter than just one mark in rushing or receiving, given Kamara's usage and how it should be this week. That said, if it gets up to like 130, probably less inclined to go there. Get it now at 120.5. Jordan Addison, higher on 3.5 receptions, looks pretty good. And then Russell Wilson, higher on 228.5 passing yards, would be my last pick. I'm here. I expect Jameis to keep pushing. Russell Wilson also is a good matchup. Cleveland giving up a ton of deep balls since Jameis took over. Wrote it up in the fantasy points column. Encourage you to check it out if you can. Let me see if I can just link it real fast in chat. Because honestly, I've been writing really good columns for fantasy points. It sucks. It's a premium membership. You have to pay to read the articles. But promo code SPAGS25 gets you 25% off. Check it out if you want to. But wrote up Russell Wilson and basically the fact that like Cleveland, since Jameis took over, the defense is getting worse. And I presume it's because they're just getting pressed more, spending more time on the field because of Jameis just not, frankly, being that good in terms of real life football. So I think Russell Wilson props look pretty good. Check out the column if you want here. My props for week 14 hit on plus 630. Christian Watson already this week, so we'll see how it goes. And that's it for this video, guys. So second half of the video coming up for paying members. We'll be going game by game on that one coming up. But before you guys leave this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I don't think I asked for this once, but please help me out if you got value out of this content, whether it's just me being honest about stuff or it's the takes I give you. You know, guys like Nolan, Rough Buff Fire, having some big hits lately. I appreciate them giving me some fractional amount of credit for it, but I'm here doing the work every day, hopefully giving you some inspiration to make better lineups yourself, whether you tail me or just take something I say and it means something for you. That's the process here every day. Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. I'll link in the description if you want to go get your dick kicked in. Find all the fucking dorks in battle royales. Stochastic, 15% off as well. Great tools and data for yourself. Get 1 month and take it through Christmas for the NFL and for the NBA. That's what I would do. But check it out, 15% off, and that's in perpetuity for all of the stuff on Stochastic. Sims tools, data, all of it. Check it out, and it does support the show directly, so please do it. Unabated, same thing here. More of a big deal for the NBA show for me, but $30 off the promo codes on Unabated. You want to make good pick'ems and stuff, you're better off following market data than you are just kind of holding your finger to the wind. That's how that goes. Solver, link in the description too. No discount on it, but check it out and support the show by clicking that link. And thanks to all the paying members. You too can support the show for $4.99. Of course, I appreciate the super chats as well, but if you want to get a VIP Discord, my premium video, my data sheet that I show every week as well, I give people a copy that they can have on their own. That's what you get here on Splash Play. So please join, support the show. If I had 1,000 paying members, my life would be fractionally easier. Better produced here for sure. That's the goal. Gamble responsibly, even though it's money time. And I'll be back in a moment for the paying members, back at 4 p.m. on Splash Play NBA, back at Sunday at 9 a.m. with the final takes video. I'll see you guys for one of those, hopefully. Enjoy your weekends and good luck. Bye-bye.